Hi, I'm Jack Lewison, and today I'll be exploring how The Simpsons has grown to be so big through the audience needs and how they've grown their audience from different backgrounds and hobbies and interests of the audience. Uh, so I will be exploring how they've done it through genre. So from changing genre, so they've kind of added new features through cross platform onto the different games, and then I will be exploring how the cross platform has also had an effect on adaptation from like from movie to TV show and from TV show to movie, etc., etc. Um, but to start off, we will look at how The Simpsons has developed through genre. When The Simpsons was first released, it was a comedy cartoon that was aimed for 18 to 34-year-olds who were into kind of family comedies. And once they've kind of grown that and their viewer numbers started stagnating in 2003, uh, they began to think of ideas of how to change genre and attract more people over. So in 2003, they made a video game called Simpsons Hit and Run, which was a massive hit amongst teenagers, and it was action. So they completely changed genre, and it turned into an action game, a bit like another game called Grand Theft Auto. And the teens loved it, and it then made the teens go from playing the game to start watching the episodes of Simpsons and buying merchandise and stuff like that. However, doing this became a risk because of ruining their TV, because they've kind of given a fake image to the teenagers about how Simpsons is a action comedy, an action comedy, action comedy TV show, and it's the TV show is nothing like the game, and it's just all a bit fake sort of thing. And through doing this, through changing genre and releasing a game like this, it's had a negative effect on children, because the game's about kind of stealing cars and getting into trouble with authorities. So this has had a negative effect, and uh, a scholar called Paul Barrett has wrote an article about how Grand Theft Auto has had a negative effect on children's screen time. So he said a Cardinal official speaks to his hip pedagogical aesthetics of seeing a black body as riddled with bullets, being chased, generally threatened or killed. When he says little kids talking about want to be like feel like a gunshot because they love 50 Cent. This shows to us that video games have a very strong effect on children in current times, because they all want to kind of be like characters from games and etc etc, and it can lead to mental health issues, which also can occur from becoming too addicted to said screen or console or TV, which Alison Parks and her colleagues have also written a book about how screen time has had a negative effect on had a negative effect on children's mental health. So becoming addicted. So the way that it could affect The Simpsons, is because if they become addicted to the game or the TV show, and they don't stop watching it, the heavy screen time might impair the children's mental health in various ways, particularly involving viewing material that is not primarily designed for children, or with less adult supervision. Screen time entertainment's rapid pace, frequent change in image and capacity to excite may shorten concentration span and reduce time spent on other key development activities, including interpersonal interactions. Um, So yeah, so from doing that, they might grow up thinking, getting the wrong wrong perspective of how to behave in public. So they might start uh, picking up acts they've seen on TV and start to implement them in real life, which can have a negative effect on the Simpsons franchise and potentially stop it from growing, because parents and adults may stop their kids from watching it, which cuts off that demographic that they try to achieve from the game, which didn't happen in the end, but it was a risk they had to take, and it ended up putting off. Um, then, then the Simpsons also started exploring um, another concept of adaptation, in a way that they'd find popular events in movies from real life events and stories and stuff like that, and then they would adapt it so it fits the Simpsons storyline. The One of the adaptations is from one of the episodes in 1990. Uh, in season 5, episode 19, when Homer is chasing after Ned Flanders' car, which and for to try and get hold of him, and they copy the scene out of Terminator 2 when he jumps onto the back of a car and holds on and starts crawling up, and then Fred swerves him off through driving. This has an effect on the size of the audience, because people from watching Terminator 2 may see this adaptation and think, "Oh, this looks like something I'll be interested in," and may hop over, watch the one episode, and start getting addicted to it. And then, if you imagine this on a wild scale, because they do many adaptations of movie scenes, it can massively impact the size of their audience and stop it from stagnating. Um, so like I was saying, when someone adapts when something adapts to suit a storyline, it can improve the original version of it, and it can also improve, and it also will improve your storyline that's happening in The Simpsons, for this example. And Sandra Sandoval and Dr. Rabadan um, have been exploring how adaptations uh, impact the growth of a TV program. So, for example, it says the first shows the one he takes is synatic terms to achieve a certain object, and the second shows the one develops to preserve an object, which in narrative is a positive value, which shows in the Simpsons case is in the original Terminator 2 case study, when in the actual film, in the Terminator film, he jumps into the back of the car, holds on to try stop the car, and put himself on because he's chasing the people in the car, and then uh, the Simpsons have adapted it to make it a bit more funny and suit the storyline, in the sense that he's jumped onto the back of the car and putting himself onto the car to stop Ned Flanders from getting away. Um, this has from but and this has improved the value of the value of that episode, because it makes it a bit more relatable to some people who may not really understand The Simpsons, and two, it allows people to come over from a different background and watch it and understand it. Um, this has allowed the Simpsons to grow to the size as it is at the moment, and allow it to keep moving on. So then, in conclusion, The Simpsons has grown its audience from using certain concepts such as genre and adaptation to they've used it to their effect of They've used it to their effect of um, gaining interest through games, so that they can broaden their target demographic to younger ages, older ages, etc., etc. And then they've also used adaptation of other events and real life scenarios and other movies to grow their idea up, and it's had positive and negative effects, such as the it's had negative effect on kids' mental health issues through playing too much video games and watching too much TV, and it's also had positive effects, but that have well, obviously of bringing joy to people, and the growth of the business has skyrocketed because of it. Overall, I believe it has had a positive effect on the franchise, and as it continues to grow and is one of the biggest cartoons around at the moment. Yeah, and this is my big biography.